Okay, I feel like we have to clear the HDR puzzle of Red Dead Redemption 2 once and for all. And I've made so many videos about this game. This was the reason why I was so excited to spend the money and get a high-end gaming PC and a big TV to enjoy HDR, 4K, all that goodness. And man, I was so disappointed with this game, especially at launch. So many issues. It was looking so blurry. And the HDR impression, it was trash. Okay? So the first video I uploaded to this YouTube channel was Red Dead Redemption 2 running on a $25 plasma TV. And I was blown away because it's plasma TV 1080p, so this blurriness is not that noticeable. So when you're expecting 4K, perfect blacks, fantastic contrast, and you open this game, you're like, this is garbage, okay? But on the plasma TV, it was impressive to me, and I was blown away with it. So then when I tried the HDR, so I basically upgraded the TV, finally, from that plasma. That plasma was just to wait. I was saving the money to get the OLED. And finally, when I got my C1, I opened Red Dead Redemption 2, I was like, this HDR thing is not what I was expecting. This looks worse. Okay, how can this look so much more washed out and lifeless, and I don't see the colors popping? This is not what I was expecting. And honestly, the version of Red Dead Redemption 2 that I was trying was from Cuba. If you understand what I'm saying, it was a very early version of the game. And I am not sure if they fixed it over time, or maybe it is just me understanding HDR a little bit better, that now it looks okay to me. So this is the story of after you learn, after you understand how HDR is supposed to look like, and you have the latest version, okay, it actually looks okay. And the reason why I'm making this video is because, we've done live streams with Gaming Tech, and he's always telling Red Dead Redemption 2 HDR is not broken. It looks good. It's actually very good. And I was like, I'm not going to tell him, hey, I disagree with you. Let me look it up again. Because we've learned a lot since. And I think he's right. And actually, this is the first time I opened the HDR analysis tool after a long, very, very long time here on Red Dead Redemption 2. And I played the game from the very beginning until now without using the HDR analysis tool. So I didn't have the help of this to tell me if the HDR was good or not. I was just using my eyes, completely dark room, enjoying the game. And I was like, this looks right to me. It looks okay. If I open the HDR analysis and it is telling me that the black level is raised and it's a mess, then I have to, reconsider my ability to evaluate if a game looks good or not, just using my eyes. But the HDR analysis tool agrees, and it was looking perfectly fine to me. So I think at this point, at least from my opinion, we can put to rest that the HDR on Red Dead Redemption is completely messed up and it's just washed out mess. It's not like that. But let me tell you, if you disagree, I understand why. And the reason is the average brightness of most of the scenes is very low. It is like SDR reference, let's say. The SDR standard, we had like 100 nits. It's like that. But then you do have the sun when you look at it. When the sun is nowhere here. And the sun is bright. So it does give you a little bit of that HDR pop. But if you are expecting to be wowed, you will not. And if you use auto HDR, it might look better to you. Or any other trick that I've shared with you before, it might look better to you. And if you enjoy that, go with it. But honestly, it looks very good. And I don't have an issue with it now, okay? And gaming tech is right, in my opinion. But let me know, what do you think about the HDR of Red Dead Redemption 2? And especially, do you think that the HDR was updated and improved? I believe so. I believe so, especially this menu was not, I strongly believe, maybe it's by memory, but I believe this menu was not, this HDR calibration screen, it was not like that. Keep in mind, my camera cannot capture, of course, you might see clipping everywhere. But I remember here, this, especially over here, it was clipping more. And of course, most of the time, these calibration screens are trash. They are not useful at all. And probably this one is broken too. Yeah, definitely. But the thing is, it was looking different. So if it was looking different to me with the previous Cuban version, then that means that they definitely changed something. And if they changed something, they probably fixed it. So maybe I was right, maybe it was completely broken, maybe many people are right in saying that it looks terrible, but maybe those people had or have the Cuban version of the game. And that's why it looks broken. If you update it to the latest one, then you will see that it actually looks okay. Now, which settings? You already saw it, HGIG on my LG C1, and it looks perfect. You just need to adjust the peak brightness. If you look at the sun, you might not see the 800s that I selected there, but you will see eventually some highlights that they do reach that brightness, so it is okay. And during the night, you can see here, it is reaching 0 nits everywhere, and it's fine. It is very dim. You have to be on a completely dark room to enjoy this game. Right now, my camera might be just crushing everything, and you cannot see very well. But in a dark room, it is okay. So now I also have to say that the blurriness issue can be fixed somehow. It can be improved a little bit just by using a mod. I'm gonna share that in the description of this video, the mod I am using that basically replaces the DLSS, and you can just update the DLSS. So what happens with this game is when you open it, it will, let's say you replace the DLSS file to the latest one. When the game opens, it just goes back to the old DLSS, and with that DLSS version, this game looks terrible in motion. So when you move the camera, it looks more sharp. So everything is kind of blurry. As soon as you do this, it becomes a lot sharper, and that looks terrible, and it's super distracting to me. So I just use this mod that I'm going to share with you in the description of the video, and I replace it with not even the latest DLSS. I just replaced it with the Ghost of Tsushima DLSS file, and it looks okay. Now it looks kind of blurry because we have a lot of those low pixel density stuff, like all the trees and the foliage and the hair, but it's okay. I'm playing it with DLSS balance, and most of the time I'm getting 100 to 110 frames per second. The worst case scenario, I get like 85, like bare minimum. But most of the time it's like 100, 110. So I'm playing it with G-Sync, HGIG, HDR, no frame generation, which you can get frame generation now with the mod. But now, to get it working on Red Dead, there's some extra steps and stuff. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna play it like this. If it's gonna feel more responsive anyway, and with DLSS balance, it looks okay. I can play it with quality. I get like 85 frames, 90, which is not terrible, but yeah, I much rather have the responsiveness. And I am using the hardware on box optimized settings for the game. It looks okay. It looks very good, and the game is, in my opinion, one of the best games ever created. I think we can all agree with that. When it comes to the story, how alive the world is, how things interact with each other, like just the way the horses, the animations are like next level, like nothing comes even close. When you see a horse, going against the fence or knocking another horse, the way it falls, I mean, those things have no competition. Rockstar in those things it's just no competition. Nothing comes even close. And it is really a fantastic game. And yeah, I'm gonna play it now and beat it. With the Cuba version, I was actually very far away, very advanced. I was on that mission where you go to Cuba, actually. And you go to like a different forest that's not here on the main map. That's where I was. And I was like, okay, now I have to start from the beginning. That's why I didn't want to update to the latest version, because I'm like, I don't want to start from the beginning, man. It's very long. I've played a long way here. But I'm like, okay, this looks so much better now, and the performance is so much better now, that yeah, I have to. And I mean, the first version didn't even have DLSS upscaling. It was just TAA, blurry, and it absolutely sucks. So yeah, long story short, the HDR is okay. If they updated the HDR, then great job. If they didn't touch the HDR, then I was wrong. And maybe it depends on where you are on the HDR journey. You might think that this is terrible because you're not getting that HDR impact that you can get with other games, or with this same game if you just use auto HDR or one of the tricks that I've shared with you. If you're not getting that and you feel like you should be getting it, I understand if you think that this is trash, but I believe it's okay. I believe it is okay, especially if you play it on a completely dark room. I never felt that I was crushing blacks with things that I am supposed to see, and I'm not seeing them. And I never felt that the forest or the sunny day was looking excessively dim. It is not bright, but it is okay. It is believable. I believe, okay, yeah, this is a sunny day. And on the other hand, because it's not a very high APL, my TV can actually, it doesn't struggle with that. So when I look at the sun, I get some HDR pop. On the other hand, if the bright sunny day is way too bright for my TV, I would look at the sun and the sun would not be 600 nits. It would be like 400 or less. So it does give you a little bit more HDR impact if you can believe it is a sunny day when it's actually not very bright, so the TV can show you that. And then you look at the sun and it's actually like 600 nits. That's HDR. So what I'm saying is, for a TV like this, that's not very bright, especially when it comes to APL, the average, bright picture level or brightness level of the screen, I think it is actually going to be more appropriate for a TV like this. Now, in the future, we get 10,000 nits TVs that can do 10,000 nits full screen. You play this, you're gonna be like, this is not very good. Although you can raise the peak brightness, but it might not look I mean, there's gonna be a much bigger difference if you compare that with other games that are going to be pushing more full screen brightness. But yeah, that's my take. So yeah, I agree with gaming tech. The HDR is fine. It's not the best ever, but it's not broken. And I've said it many times, it's completely broken, but I think it was probably the Cuban version. Or maybe I just know a little bit better now, okay? One of the two. You let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, I've been playing Red Dead these days. I think that the new game's coming out, that Star Wars game, I mean, I was gonna try it and make a video fixing the HDR and all of that, but if you've watched the other videos, you know how to fix the HDR there. You just need to lower the black level using the Lilium's HDR Black Floor Fix shader, and yeah, there you go. That's not difficult at all. So that HDR should be very easy to fix with the Lilium shaders and reshade. And yeah, the game, the reviews are terrible for that game, so I don't want to. I don't feel compelled with that character or the Star Wars movies. I've never liked them actually. The last time I went to the theater, to the movie theater, was to watch a Star Wars movie, and I thought it looked terrible. It was a big projector, so the picture quality was absolutely terrible. The audio was fantastic though, but the movie was so bad. It was a lady main protagonist, and the movie was very, very bad. Very bad reviews too. But yeah, that was the movie they were putting that day. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.